Welcome to this webinar, which provides insights into self-evaluation for quality improvement in early learning and care settings. These insights take account of research and are drawn from inspectors' findings in ELC settings, as well as the guidance provided by inspectors to settings to promote improvement. The cycle of quality improvement that was outlined in Webinar 1 described a number of steps: reflect, evaluate, action plan, and implement. It supports you to recognise strengths and to identify aspects of practice in your setting that can be developed further. The cycle can be applied individually, with colleagues in the room, or using a whole setting approach. The first step of the quality improvement cycle is to reflect, which involves deciding on an area of the quality framework to look at in more detail. To demonstrate the cycle in action, we have chosen to reflect on Area 2, which focuses on the quality of processes to support children's learning and development. We will consider some aspects of provision for play and demonstrate how the cycle for quality improvement and the EYEI quality framework can be used to enhance provision for play. The specific outcome we will reflect on is Outcome 8, which states that play is central to the children's learning and development. We will look at how we will use the evaluate step of the cycle and consider Outcome 8 in more depth. We hope that this example will support you to apply a cycle of quality improvement and give you a sense of the type of questions to consider when you are evaluating practice. In time, you may decide to focus on another area or outcome which is of particular interest to you. The evaluate step involves reviewing an aspect of practice in depth in order to determine what is working well and what could be further developed. Each outcome in the inspection quality framework has a number of signposts for practice, which illustrate what effective practice looks like. While they are not exhaustive and you may identify other aspects of practice yourself, the signposts do provide a good starting point to guide self-evaluation and review. We will now use two signposts from Outcome 8, which are focused on play as an example of how practice can be evaluated. The first signpost asks us to consider the extent to which time is provided for extended open-ended play. Take a moment to think about how much of your daily routine is focused on play. Are children provided with extended time to play and follow their interests? Do children have a chance to become deeply engaged in play? What types of open-ended play opportunities are provided, and what natural, real-life and open-ended resources are available to support this? The second signpost from Outcome 8 relates to the extent to which opportunities for a variety of types of play are provided. Here, it might be helpful to evaluate a specific type of play, for example, construction play. We can ask how, when and where it happens. Is construction play more likely to be initiated by the adult or the child? How does the learning environment indoors and outdoors and the resources available support construction play? Are there aspects that could be improved? Think about the children you work with and their interest in construction play. Does it vary from child to child? Can the children follow their construction-related interests? How, as the adult, do you plan for and support construction play? These questions support reflection and help you to consider different aspects of practice in your own context. They can be adapted to focus on other signposts for practice. The next part of the webinar will provide practical guidance to help you develop action plans in order to make positive changes for children, families, and practitioners. Your reflections and evaluations will help you to recognise what you want to improve and will help you progress the action planning stage. Before formulating your action plan, it is important to consult with the key stakeholders, including colleagues, children, and parents. This process is outlined in the various webinars. This consultation will help to generate many ideas for improvement, for example, around the provision for construction play in this instance. The next step is to use the outcomes of the various consultations, reflections, and evaluations to create your action plan. If your setting has had an external inspection, the actions advised in the published report will complement your internal self-evaluation and review processes and will guide your actions towards continuing improvement. The following is an example of an action advised from an inspection report which relates to outcome 8. It is advised that practitioners provide well-resourced, open-ended play opportunities to extend the children's curiosity and exploration in play both indoors and outdoors. To implement this action advised, a setting could begin by creating an action plan that outlines how it will implement this advice. It could begin by setting out what is needed. For example, to extend exploration and curiosity, the action plan may include the provision of additional resources such as tape measures, boxes, clipboards, reel tools, and a variety of wood. Perhaps the children requested more construction vehicles or digging materials during the consultation phase, or parents offered to share resources such as tools or even their own construction skills for proposed outdoor developments. These can be added into the resource and support section of the plan so that all contributions are recorded. Providing fictional and non-fictional books around design and construction will benefit the children's language. In addition, practitioners could provide mark-making materials, maps, and flat-pack furniture instructions to enhance children's creative thinking. Of course, to implement these actions, there may be a need for additional time and extra support from colleagues, management, and parents. To generate a shared vision and clear direction for improvement, it is very important to identify who is responsible for the overall action plan and for the various actions. It is important also to establish a time frame from the outset. This time frame will ensure that there is clarity of expectations and that the subsequent implementation phase is followed through and evaluated. Inspectors note that successful planning and collaboration, along with clearly defined responsibilities during the action planning process, supports effective quality improvements in practice. For example, when developing a construction area outdoors, early years practitioners and children in a setting provided a wish list of resources that was shared with all stakeholders. A time frame of 1 month to gather the resources was noted on the action plan. In addition, a list of the practitioners and parents who were willing to volunteer their time and skills to make an outdoor construction bench was outlined. You may wish to note that the Astroshield's Practice Guide includes a helpful action planning tool which may support you to develop action plans in your setting. Having completed your action plan, you move to the implementation phase, during which you will implement the changes, provide resources and additional supports, and assign the identified responsibilities to ensure that the changes occur. It is really important that there is ongoing communication between staff during this phase to celebrate achievements, positive changes to practice, and to monitor areas that may require further development. In high-quality settings, inspectors find that regular staff meetings are used effectively to review the progress made in translating the action plans into practice. Practitioners report that this helps to keep them focused whilst feeling a sense of ownership and pride over the progress made. Additionally, the ongoing involvement of all key stakeholders empowers the development of a shared vision. Inspectors note that visual displays and newsletters can be used successfully to share information about the action plan with the children and their families. These can also be used as tools to garner ongoing feedback and suggestions from the children and their families. It is important to monitor the progress of the action plan through ongoing reflection during the implementation phase. For example, At staff meetings, the team can reflect on and affirm the aspects that are going well and identify alternative approaches if these are needed. It is beneficial to regularly reflect on the agreed timeframe to ensure that reasonable progress is being made. A very significant part of the process is the evaluation of improvements to realise the positive impacts made to the children's learning and experiences. For example, using questions can inspire reflection, such as, has the addition of real tools, wood and mark-making materials increased the children's vocabulary, social skills, physical skills, or problem solving? How are the children engaging with the adapted construction areas? How are the practitioners proactive in engaging in ongoing discussion with the children about their views on construction play? As the needs of the children, parents, and context of the setting are continually evolving, ongoing reflection is important. Embedding a culture of quality improvement requires effective leadership, constructive communication processes, and a shared vision between all stakeholders. We will now take some time to emphasise the connection between effective leadership and the provision of quality early learning and care provision. Outcome 17 of the EYEI framework identifies effective leadership, teamwork, and collaboration as integral measures when developing and embedding a cycle of quality improvement. Effective leadership supports a culture of professionalism and commitment to ongoing improvement. In highly effective settings, inspectors note that opportunities for leadership roles are distributed among individuals and groups as they assess and plan for children's interests, their learning and development. Inspectors note that it is important that leadership roles and responsibilities are clearly defined. Effective leaders develop the leadership capacity of others. They meaningfully engage with and listen to stakeholders. They engage in regular CPD and communicate a clear understanding of what is important in terms of practice. Furthermore, inspectors note that leadership for learning is demonstrated when early years practitioners collaborate to effectively implement a play-based emergent curriculum, which is cognizant of individual children's needs and interests, or when leading a specific area of practice, such as developing partnership with parents. The quality framework for EYEI and the Shield to Standard on Professional Practice both emphasise the role of regular reflection in supporting ongoing professional development and leadership skills. Of course, reflection on practice is almost always enhanced if it's carried out in association with other colleagues. Take a moment to consider, do you have opportunities to reflect on your role as a leader for learning in your room, within the setting, or more widely? Do you receive feedback on your work with children? How do you use this feedback to improve your practice? How is a culture of reflection promoted in your setting to enhance the children's learning and development? To support you as you plan and implement improvements, your setting may wish to access the assistance available from early years specialist services. This may include local, county and city childcare committees, the Better Start National Quality Development Service, national voluntary childcare organisations, and others. As already referenced, inspection reports and the inspection process can also guide continuous improvement in your setting. Along with the EYEI framework, Shielta, Ashter, and the Ashter Shielta Practice Guide provide a range of tools to aid self-evaluation and review at individual and setting level. They also provide guidance on the development of leadership skills, processes, and practices. Here is a list of further information and resources which may support your self-evaluation processes. This brings us to the close of this webinar, and we would like to thank you for listening. We hope it provides helpful advice. If you have direct queries or comments arising from your engagement with this webinar, please use the dedicated email address provided to send your comments to us on insights_info@education.gov.ie. Thank you.